All right, good evening, everybody. It says we're live. I think we're live. Let's go over and check and see how we're running. We'll get things running here before we start saying too much. So, welcome to the chat. Thanks for everybody checking in. Just wanted to run something up and get something started to check in and catch up and see what's been going on the last 3 weeks or so. Since I went, probably about a week before I went on vacation, and the week since, haven't been able to catch up much on everything. So wanted to check in and see what's going on. We'll do a quick rundown. I'll get some people in here, hopefully, if there's anybody around. And we'll give people a minute to get in here, too. My chats are never well advertised, so give people a few minutes to buy and stop in. Determine if this is the thing for them or not. But lots of madness, I would say, has occurred since a month ago, basically. If it's not one thing, it's another. Between various pedophilia organizations getting rounded up, rousted about, various charges in Hollywood and all that stuff went down, I guess. Like anybody was surprised, right? Politicians getting drug over the coals, like anybody was surprised by that. It's amazing how they bring this stuff up and people like shocked, like they had no idea. Um, yeah, right. But that's probably the biggest thing. And then you've got the various going on with Donald Trump and China and North Korea and basketball players and all kinds of things. Apparently, I don't think we're at war with North Korea. Last time I checked in, I haven't seen any increased escalation there. But it is funny how it continues. Like we were talking about something else. There was the whole flag thing and the national anthem thing, and then all it takes is one thing to on people, and that's no longer important. And now the pedophiles aren't important because there's something else, and on and on and on. Nothing is ever concentrated on. The Las Vegas shooting has completely disappeared. We will talk a little bit about that, especially if I can get Tony in here. But the Vegas situation, worst shooting in history, or in American history, basically, not involving the government. We will caveat that, or we don't think it's involving the government. We're not sure about that. But this disappeared off the news. And then you had the Texas disappeared off the news. Pretty interesting stuff. The Vegas situation here, obviously, it is interesting how that has pretty much went away. And the word on the street kind of is that the FBI is running the show and Lombardo and Metro has no play in it anymore whatsoever. Everything has been turned over to the FBI, which would go way against protocol. Like the FBI is supposed to be there to support and help out in what they're needed, not take over and basically run the show. But yeah. So with that being said, let me see. I think we got a few people in the chat room. If I'll catch up. 8 people watching. Hey, ain't haven't talked to you. I haven't talked to anybody in a while. Stan, White Canadian North, Silver Siren. All right, checking in the chat room. Distractions are par for the course. Yeah, there's always something you're not sure what to focus on. The Saudi Arabia situation with the handing over of power to his son. Yeah, I did catch some of that. I didn't see if there were any problems with that. If there's any issues with the transfer of power in Saudi Arabia. Those countries usually have brothers fighting brothers and stuff like that. And one feels dissed by the family, and one son runs the police force, one son runs the economic ministry, and they throw down with each other's minions that they control in the government. You see that a lot in those Arab countries, but I haven't seen anything more than that. So, Angel, if you got anything that links or anything, throw them in there for sure. Obviously, the whole oil-based currency, dollar-based oil currency revolves around Saudi Arabia and always has. So that could cause some big hiccups in those situations. See if we can invite some people in here to run their mouths with me for a little bit. This won't be a long one. This is definitely not going to be a 4 hour deal. We'll probably keep it well under 2. But let's see who all's out there. I know Mule had one chat. A while back, or 2 weeks ago, I think was the last one. I did catch a little bit of that one out of the loop. Um, but he didn't have anything last week. One of the biggest things about my trip, everybody was like, "Why didn't you stop by here?" Clear, we were on a direct route. I have a big shindig party and whatnot. Definitely probably drove close to a lot of people, but you can't stop and see everybody when you got a time hack. But it would have been nice to see a lot of people, but obviously you just got to prioritize. If anybody's not ever driven across the country, it's definitely something you got to do at least once in your time. Had pretty good weather for the drive. I can't complain about that. But when we got there, it rained on us like every day while we were there. It was kind of unusual. Not the most fun thing. We did have that November 4th non-event thing that went down. Didn't go down, I guess you'd say. The Antifa rally that didn't exist, which was good for everybody. No issues came out of that. No unsafe conditions were found, I guess you'd say, which is good. Nobody, I think, wanted anything to come out of that, but showed kind of how weak they are by putting all that well, I don't know if it was propaganda. Maybe we built it, or maybe our side built it up more than it was. But I think we just wanted people to be prepared, be aware. Hey, this could be going on in your area. I did see a video on that where Matt from Never Enough Ammo drove around. I think it was Austin. People that were followed by about 30 people. 10, 15 Antifa protesters being followed by like 30 Oath Keepers. He was kind of trailing on his vehicle. I saw a little video of that. That was kind of funny. So I've sent a couple links out there. If anybody can jump in. But things are going good. Obviously, the animals all survived our journey and our journey back. We didn't take the whole family, obviously, because somebody had to take care of the animals. Unfortunately, that's just kind of how the way it works out. And is what it is. It would be nice to take everybody, but duty remains. And that is really, it's the first vacation I've been on since I've started my YouTube channel. It's been 6 years basically since I've been on a vacation of that, significance, that length. And it was good. But as usual, if you can avoid Kansas, do so. It's the most miserable part of that whole drive, for sure. For sure. Hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving coming up here. Looks like we got some more. 9 in the chat room. Yankees joined us. How you doing out there, brother? I was slightly north of you, but out in your area. Didn't come down around your way though. What are we talking about out there? Bitcoin. Yeah, the Bitcoin thing. Hey, solid uh, opportunity, I guess you'd say. Definitely some speculation going on with that whole thing. Israel and Saudi Arabia getting together, huh? I haven't seen any news about that. Israel busted trying to push against Yemen and Iran, which helps Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Israel joining up with Saudi Arabia would definitely be an interesting development. For sure. The thing people forget about a lot is that Saudi Arabia, the rulers, the kingdom is ruled by a bunch of secular rulers. They're not religious at all. They impose the mandates of Islam, but the royal family does not follow the edicts of Islam. I would say not even hardly in the slightest. So it would be interesting to see how that went down. Um, yeah, Zimbabwe just had a coup of some sort or some kind of within the government. I did see a brief article about that, and the government's not going to, stand down. There's two vying factions in Zimbabwe. Um, Increased action of American troops over the last 5 years. Um, I'm sure we would want to get our fingers at in some foothold, but funny how our activity in Africa increases and increases over the years. It hasn't gotten any better, and nothing's gotten any better for any of them. Um, what's the strategic location? Zimbabwe. Just let me check my. So Zimbabwe's kind of central south. I'm not sure what the natural resources are down there. It's more definitely got the plains and stuff, not jungle or as much down there. Would be interesting. I did see the stories and was kind of following the issue of the plague that was migrating out of Madagascar, a bacterial plague that was um, having issues of spreading throughout Eastern Africa, and it was causing a lot of health issues. And I was trying to track that to see what effects that might have in here, because if that's some different strain of the plague got released in the West, it'd be similar to the bubonic plague spread so quickly because they weren't used to it and it was a different type. of disease back in the day. But anytime you get a new introduction of something into a population that's not we're used to it, it can cause some catastrophic effects fairly quickly. Talking about, I guess, tracking that whole Mugabe, not Mubarak, yeah. Mubarak's what, Egypt? Wasn't he? Actually, he's kind of an older leader too, isn't he? Um, but anyway, yeah, that situation is not gonna. It'll ride itself out until they can find somebody with enough power to overturn him. Sure. Nobody wants to come in and chat. It doesn't look like. Chat might be shorter than I anticipated. You guys get me a lot more info than I've track of. Um, the Marines and the whole thing in Langley. Yeah, I kind of saw some stuff on that with and one source. I haven't seen anything credible on that. I'd have to I'd have to say it's not leading anywhere right now. And the Mew doing different ops, it could just be a training thing that somebody got overblown. It happens all the time. It's just like having a FEMA camp in Carson City got overblown. It would be nice to have somebody on the ground there, though, kind of, yeah, and whatnot. But um, obviously, Langley is a center of confusion with this Al Qaeda and everything, and would be a hot spot if anything did go down. And no, Yankee, you're not getting my hat. But I did send you a link for you and Stan. Do you do chats? I don't know if you do. I've never seen you in a chat. Um, well, the Great White North perspective is valuable as anything else. I almost forgot the Silver Siren in here. I'll see if you want to jump in. Uh, I never get to get on your chats, but you can come on and join ours if you want. I think that would be acceptable. It'd be interesting to hear your perspective, Siren, on Silver Siren, on Bitcoin, because I've been pretty against it for the most part, as far as any type of real wealth building or preparation. But heavily involved in Silver's perspective as well. I consider it completely speculative to be involved in Bitcoin. But obviously, if you were able to get involved, even if you just got involved 3 months ago, now hitting up over 8,000, I mean, if you got in down at 2,000 just a short time ago, you would be able to cash out. Uh, idea that the speculation that's going on there is just bizarre, because if it's over 8,000, think what's the real driver behind why that would go up in any sort of value monetarily. You've got, well, the dollar's worthless, so you got to put your money into something that makes it. But if you have something that's totally electronic, the only value in the Bitcoin is gives you an anonymity if you want to do some sort of transaction. But it has a lot of risks that you will lose your Bitcoins fairly quickly should servers be taken out. Should you never hold it in your hand, you never hold it for you. It can easily be stripped of you and its value from you by other parties, without them, coming into your house and breaking the door down. They can hack like they did Mt. Gox a couple years ago. It's just some thoughts that I've had on that, but it's definitely bouncing up there in value. If you wanted to get in on the Bitcoin train, I don't know how much longer you can ride it, but it's still running. I would say I'm definitely not a fan and wary. Well, too, I guess. Let me check some news. See if we can get anybody to come in and chat with us. I talked about the Catalonia thing yesterday, but it's definitely having some. It's continuing to be a rumbling under the radar, I guess you'd say. It's being held under the radar by the media and everything. Starting to get some more stories this week in the papers that I've noticed, or online as well. But there's also an article today, news article about Germany and the way they do coalition style governments over there, and in Germany, Merkel is not able to form a government, so she may be removed from leadership, which could cause some problems. Germany is the economic leader in Europe, essentially the only thing that keeps the EU together, and all the southern European nations draining all the economy out of the EU. They're the ones keeping everything afloat. But if they can't form a government under her leadership, then there's talk of it could go to what they consider a conservative, or be the nationalists basically in Germany taking hold and being the majority in the government, and more, especially the immigration issue is big apparently, and cutting back the immigration quotas in Germany, because they're letting in like 1.2 million in the last 2 or 3 years of refugees from the Middle East. You just got to ask yourself why, and what sense does that make? Even they talk about cut it back to 200,000. Germany's not that big of a country population-wise, or geography, and we've seen the effects on all of Western Europe from their invasion, but self-deprecating themselves and making themselves victims so they can feel better, I guess. Lots of thought police stuff going on with various doing having professors get up and say off the wall stuff, kicking students out for standing up for themselves, all kinds of random stuff that I've seen over the last couple of weeks with that type of things, what you'd call First Amendment right type stuff. The bizarreness of how quickly the whole multi-gender thing has just really overtaken everybody. I think the idea that people can designate themselves whatever they want. California now has the option to choose on your license to identify however you want. So if I go apply for a job as a female Micronesian, I guess then I'll be good. So I get minority status, right? It's bizarre how that the people that supposedly believe in science on one hand, and the Big Bang Theory, and that babies aren't nothing but blobs of tissue until the third trimester or whatever they'd use to justify murder. The party of science, but then they disavow science when it comes to gender. It's a bizarre way to think. Very inconsistent, and how people don't see through the illogical conduct, and the lack of logic is also a bizarre as well. So nobody wants to come in, it looks like. I'm not going to run this chat forever by myself, just a warning. But I hope everybody did enjoy the videos that we did of the trip. It was kind of just a scenic thing. I was like, I'm going to sort of record some stuff and throw it together without commentary, because really you can't improve on the product. But we hit all the states. You take the 50 across Nevada, Interstate 70 in the middle of Utah, and on the way out, a lot of that Utah was at night, so you didn't catch a lot of that. But that's some pretty scenic canyon country out there in central Utah, right there. Then Colorado, Grand Junction, going into the Rockies up to Colorado River. That was pretty cool. That's always been a nice area. Going by, you go by Aspen, you go by Vail, you go by all the big names, So that was some good views. I have a significantly more amount of video, but I cut it up to try to make it at least manageable. But I try to put some of the key stuff. If you haven't made the drive, it's definitely if you get the chance up through there, over through Utah, through Colorado, and then you get down the other side of the mountains into Denver, and that's where it goes bad. I guess no offense to everybody in Eastern Colorado, but Eastern Colorado looks like worse, looks like Kansas, except you get to Kansas and you find out it's worse because it is just flat. In the summertime, you'd see a lot of sunflowers and corn and everything else growing, but in this time of year, it's just all plowed fields and old corn stalks at the best through there, and just miles and hours and hours. But somebody's got to grow the crops, so it's good that there's good soil and everything out there to do that. Then you roll out of Kansas. Missouri's pretty nice, little hilly country. If you saw in the video on the way back, that's where we stopped at Daniel Boone's grave site. Daniel Boone, the frontiersman explorer type. That was pretty cool to check in on that. And Missouri rolling in, you come across, you hit St. Louis, and that's where we diverge down onto 64 through southern Illinois, which was too far from Mule and El Tenda Fabrizio and like 15 other people that I think I know on the YouTube. Several people are in Indiana and up there in Illinois, but we diverged south through western Kentucky there into Tennessee. You cut across, I think it's 24. It comes down into Nashville, and then you hit the 40 there. 40 into East Tennessee. There at Knoxville, that's a pretty good video. We went on the way back. We hit Davy Crockett's home site where he was born in Homestead, and a little bit about Davy Crockett. That was neat to see. It's funny how you grow up close to things like that, but you never get a chance to see them. So I figured this might be the last chance. So I want to go check in on that Davy Crockett scene and check that out, because really that maybe I've probably driven by that I don't know how many times over the back when I was younger, and we would go on trips and go to vacations and see other places, but we never went to see the Davy Crockett homestead there. So that was checking the box off of something. And we got home. We didn't really go see any sights except for we went to Grandfather Mountain there. Had the video on that. That's a great view up there. If it was a nice clear day, it would have been much more impressive. It was really cloudy. But on some clear days, you can actually see the skyline of Charlotte from up there on a real clear day. That's like straight line distance is 80 some miles, I think. I'll have to double check that. But since you're a mile up, so you get a good angle down into Charlotte from up there. It's a nice view. But we definitely rode by several people on the YouTube here are out there in East Tennessee and South Carolina and some in North Carolina and whatnot. But um, it'd be definitely easier to farm and prep out there. That's one thing I definitely knew. Uh, yeah, I remember is like how easy the things grow and how much water there is. It's definitely a lot different than out here. You tried Link Yankee? No dice. Well, I guess that was on the G Plus. I'll try to send it to your inbox, Yankee, if I can. Do they let you still do messages on the YouTube? I haven't sent a message on YouTube in forever. And now that I'm in my message, I'm in my messages. I don't even know, don't even see how to send a message. Have they changed it all around that bad? You can't even send messages to each other very easily anymore? Hmm. It's, oh, do you have to? I guess they had a big Farmageddon event out there, Yankee. I just saw some of TR Prepper's videos, and now I see you posted a couple of days ago too, last week. I haven't checked those out yet. I'll have to check those out. Um, Looks like it's always a good time though. All right, there you go. All right, Yankee, I sent it to your YouTube inbox. Still existed. Oh, yeah, Angel, I sent it on the G Plus, but the YouTube as well. I don't know that you do you have a YouTube inbox? Are you familiar with that? It's under your messages. When you go into your video manager, you can see on the left-hand side still. One update I'll bring up before we get anybody else in here is the trial of Clive and Bundy, Eamon Bundy, the other Bundy brothers has started this past week. There's been some significant movement as there's been a lot more revealed in this first couple of days than has been revealed in any of the other ancillary trials that happened beforehand, where people were basically hung juries and stuff like that. There's been a lot more um, information come out, allowed to come out about the BLM misconduct and the issues. One big one was that the director got up and that was former BLM director, I guess, and admitted that Clive Bundy basically only owes like 800 or 8,800 some dollars of total fees, as they call them, to exercise his grazing and water rights. And that's one thing people don't really get. Did somebody just pop in here?
Yeah, it's me, buddy. It's
What's
Bobby
up,
Yankee.
Yankee? What's shaking?
Hey man, I'm at an undisclosed location and they don't allow us to use G Plus here for some reason. They block it on the firewall.
I don't know what
I
that's
don't
all
know
about,
why.
but okay. Undisclosed locations are secret.
Yeah, secret, super secret. I'm sure if you know
Yeah,
me well enough, you know where I'm at. But
I don't think I
home
know
away
you that
from
well then.
home lately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
sucks, but life is life. Yeah, man, I saw you traveling and everything, and I was like, dude, you're not that far. It was cool though.
yeah. Um, but just finishing up the Bundy trial
Oh my bad.
thing. If anybody's interested in following it, Miss B Stacy regularly updates it. The Valley Forge Network on YouTube updates, and I think that's actually John Lamb's channel.
It
John
is.
Lamb on Facebook, and he puts it onto YouTube from his Facebook and whatnot. All his interviews and all the comments from the jury room and stuff like that.
It is.
Uh, Getting into the weeds now. This next couple of weeks, they're saying that they were saying that the trial could take months. I don't know why it would. When you look at the way the other trials went, they're should be fairly straightforward if you ask me. But who knows how they're going to draw it out and try to entrap people.
Yeah.
If anybody's following Tactical Tony, he's kind of laid that out. They've recontacted him, which there's only one thing they're trying to do is either incrimination of him or somebody else. There's no other reason behind it.
Really? They talked to Tony again? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he posted that a couple of weeks ago. I think they had recontacted him right before the started, and it's like what were they trying to do? You know, make him feel
Yeah.
better? No, they want him to entrap somebody or self incrimination or something like that. I can't think of any other reason. I don't think the
Yeah.
Valley Forge Networks is. I'm subscribed to it. I think I just check it out every now and then. If you want to follow the trial, definitely do so. You won't find much in the news at all. Saints and Sappers joined us out there. What's up?
What's up, Saint? I
Saints
re-
is hanging.
I'm sorry. I was gonna
No,
say I
go ahead, Bobby.
remember when almost his name Tony initially was gonna go out there to Bundy Ranch, the initial start of all that, and I was like, man, he was talking about gas money and stuff, and I made a video and like a Tenda Fabrizio and Mule, and it was just a few of us like threw $5, $10, whatever we could to help him get there. And he was later on. He told me he's like, dude, I was gonna try to make it, but man, once that money started rolling in, I could do it. I was like, well, that kind of felt cool because I knew I couldn't.
Yeah, that definitely helped him out a lot. I mean, he was able to make like 3 trips out of that,
Yeah,
so that
that was
worked out
cool.
well. That was good.
But I guess the reason I bring that up is it kind of I wasn't able to physically go out there, but at least I was able to make it so that someone else could represent for us. You know what I mean? Of
Yeah,
course, you
I
were
mean,
out
a lot of
there.
people were able to do that. Yeah, for sure. I would say probably half the people out there probably had some support from other people other than just their direct family. You know,
Yeah,
you'd be surprised how many people were relying on other people to help out a little bit.
yeah, but you know what? That's what America's about, man.
Well, it depends on who you talk to. But yeah, that's what we think of when we think about America. You know, people helping out other people and preventing the government from going and killing people for $8,000 apparently, which they lied about and said it 1 million. And
They said millions, didn't they?
the
Initially?
time was that there was $1 million in fees. That's what the MSN
Okay.
narrative was at the time. It was, well, I think they said up to 1 million, or they kept, it
Yeah,
was never an exact
I
number, but they
remember
kept
that.
wavering. Yeah,
Right. I
and
remember
of
even
course,
Fox was like saying that too. Which
right?
none of them, you can't really trust any of them, but I mean, there is only as much as you can get. But hey, I was gonna, if you don't mind, I was gonna tell you a couple of the things about Bitcoin. and not that I really care. I don't have a whole lot of skin in the game, but um, one thing that you're mistaken about is Bitcoin technically can be held on. If you can remember the numbers, it's yours. It's you. If you can remember those numbers and your password, it's yours for the rest of your life because it's held on a blockchain. The blockchain is decentralized, so anyone and everyone that mines Bitcoin, it's on that blockchain on millions and millions of devices, and so technically, not one. That's the whole point of it. Not one person can come in and take over control because it's decentralized. It's spread out over so many nodes, right? That's why people like it because um, there's not like the Fed can't come in and say, well, we want to raise, blah blah blah. They can't do any of that. There's no one centralization of it.
I thought the only way that you could, uh, the way you kept it secure, I thought was you downloaded it to a thumb drive of your own, and that's the way you maintained your.
That is one way. There's also online wallets. There's also what's known as paper wallets, which is what I do, and you basically print out a piece of paper with the code and your password, and you literally go and store it somewhere. And then one day when you want to receive that coin, you go to a place, you type those codes in, and bada boom, bada bing, it's back into. You can put it on an exchange and then sell it for USD or whatever the case is. But it's on a ledger, which is on the blockchain. The blockchain is public knowledge. Everyone has that public knowledge. But and that's another thing too. That's another misnomer. A lot of people say, "Well, Bitcoin is anonymous." It's not anonymous. Bitcoin is very open, but you have to do a little digging to see. Well, Bitcoin went from wallet A to wallet B to wallet C to wallet D, and if you start seeing, a lot of transactions coming out of one wallet, going to another wallet, those kind of things, you can kind of um, go back to the central location of where that money is coming from or who that money is coming to. Because you can literally have, like, I have like probably 9 or 10 wallets, right? You can just open wallet every day. If you wanted to get 1.1 Bitcoin and open a wallet and put that on a wallet, that's considered a wallet. So you can have millions of wallets, but you can go back through the ledger and look and say, well, or excuse me, through the blockchain, well, which is the ledger. But you can go back and say, well, Bobby has money on this wallet, this person has money on this wallet, this wallet, this wallet, and they're always accessing these wallets. Maybe we can look into it. The wallets have no names on them or anything. So it's one of the things that a lot of people get confused about. Um, it's not 100% anonymous as people say it is. The nice thing too is let's say that I want to send you, you know, $1,000, right? I can send you $1,000 worth of Bitcoin instantaneously for like a $2.50 fee is what it'll cost me. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you'll receive that money instantaneously. You can take that money, convert it into your own currency at that point in time, and then use it. There was no banks involved or anything until the point that you decided to convert it. Another thing you can do is you can have a debit card or what they call a credit card, and that credit card can be loaded with Bitcoin or the altcoins, and then you can take that card just like your credit card or your debit card in your wallet now and go to a gas station, go to an ATM, whatever you would prefer, and it will automatically do the exchange there for you. So there's a lot to it, but the nice thing is you don't have someone's hand in the pot every time you go to do the transaction, right?
I still don't
You still
trust it.
there?
If you say so.
Yeah, I'm.
No, good. I think I'm following what you're saying. It's not quite as anonymous, but it's still you're not quite as worried about security as maybe some people have led on to make it seem, I guess.
Now there are
But it still
coins.
relies on the net and
It
electronic.
does. But the only way to get rid of that is to kill the power or kill the internet. And if you do that, well, shit's going to happen regardless, right?
Yeah,
And
right, right.
what's the point of money at that point in time anyway? So you have
I think it would just depend on the purpose, the different purpose of Bitcoins if you're going to go get them. Everybody, um, definitely, it's a, if you want to advance your mode of means of sharing resources and your means of purchasing, and things like that.
right.
But as far as a prepping exchange mode of, currency or anything, it's a good way to build up a lot of, obviously, if there's talk of, Bitcoin 15,000 not being
Well,
too far away because of, they're not even into the Wall Street speculation yet.
right. And here's the thing that a lot of another two points. One, first of all, there's altcoins, which are coins that are based on the basic technology, depending on, i.e., it being like the Ethereum blockchain or whatever, but it's based on loosely the idea of Bitcoin. But there's altcoins like Monero. Monero is 100% anonymous. So you could take Bitcoin, buy Monero, send Monero from me to you, then you can take that Monero and do whatever the hell you want with it. You can exchange it for Bitcoin at that point in time. You could exchange it for USD, whatever the case is. And there is no public ledger. So there is that as well, if you really want to go deep into the weeds. But also on the other side of that too is there's only 21 million Bitcoin that'll ever be released in the world. And that'll be in 100 years. It'll be finished out. I think we're up to 16 million now. And so if you figure, there's only so much a demand, there's only so much of a supply, the price is only going to go up, right? That's where the thing is. Bitcoin doesn't necessarily work very well as a everyday currency, and let me explain why. If you go to buy a cup of coffee right now at Starbucks, okay, and they accept Bitcoin, a lot of them do actually. You go and accept, they give you buy coffee with your Starbucks with your Bitcoin wallet on your phone, and they give you your cup of coffee, they charge you your Bitcoin, you move on about it. Well, two bad things can happen. One, the fees can be up to like $10 sometimes just to transfer, $5 worth of Bitcoin. So you just paid more in fees than you did for the product you bought. Plus, because of the
Oh, that's good to
volatility,
know.
right?
I don't
Plus
think I've
the
ever heard that piece. Huh?
Yeah, well, and I'll explain that in a second. But plus, you also the volatility of the coin makes it so you might have spent $15 to buy that cup of coffee when you consider the fees and everything. Well, in next day, and 6 hours later, Bitcoin went from $3,000 to $6,000. Well, now that cup of coffee just cost you $30. You see what I'm saying? So that's where the altcoins usually will take their place. Like I can send Ethereum to you lightning fast. It's really quick. You'll get it instantaneously, and it'll cost like 2 cents. But that's where the game is played. Let me explain the fees really quick. So the way the fees work is there's miners. Okay, your computer can be a miner. Any of the other guys. I'm sorry, I just realized someone joined us. Angel.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean. But
We didn't want to interrupt you, Bobby. You're doing good.
I'm sorry. But so the fees, the way they work is there's computers that are mining. Now there's ASIC miners, but I'm not going to get into all that. But basically, they're computers that are sitting around like I mine at my house. I have been for years, and there's computers that are just running GPU software on their GPUs, which is their video cards, and they're mining coins. Okay, and they're the ones that are doing the work to figure out, hey, Bobby did a transfer to HDP, for this amount of money, blah blah blah. They're the one that do the exchange and all that stuff. They do all the configuration. They do the crypto part of it. Okay, and I don't want to get into explaining how the blockchain works, but basically, they do all that work, and right now, they get paid in block. They get for every block that miner finds, that miner gets, I think it's 12.1 Bitcoin. So every time the miner finds a block, they get paid 12.1 Bitcoin or whatever it is, right? Well, the more people are using Bitcoin, the harder that math problem is to solve. So it takes more computing power to solve that problem. So it gets harder and harder as it goes on. Well, anyways, what happens is now the Bitcoin also has a fee involved because eventually what will happen is those miners have to run in order for the Bitcoin network to work, right? For the blockchain to do the exchange. So if there were at some point in time where Bitcoin was not profitable, let's say Bitcoin went from $10,000 a coin and it dropped down to $100 a coin. Well, now it's not profitable because of the amount of power that it costs to run that GPU. So now they've got to get money from the fees to make that process work. So that they are guaranteed a way of being paid for using the network, if that makes sense. That's why the fees are involved. But it's confusing, but it's also pretty simple. But the fees can literally be, I've seen it to send $10,000 just playing around. You put $100,000 in there, and it's $550. And then the other day, because the network was loaded down, because all these new people are coming in and buying coin, the network was over $300 to send $5 worth of Bitcoin. Because it doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you're sending, the fee is the fee. And if you watch this later or whatever, I don't know if you keep these up. There's a whole lot more involved. I understand that the fees change depending on circumstances, and you don't have to technically pay the fees. The fees are voluntary. There's a mempool. I know all that stuff, but that's the basic knowledge of it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get too technical. I wanted to clarify a few things because I find that people, they don't really understand it, and they think, well, because it is a coin that is just on the internet, well, what good is it or whatever? And to be honest with you, I bought, I had a $300 worth of Bitcoin, forgotten about it on a paper wallet, and I mean, thank God I had it. Literally, that's what I paid for medication and paid off my truck with last month. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know. The decentralization is what I really like.
I personally, I'm totally against it 100%. And I mean, I'm just like a lot of people. I don't understand it 100%, but from what I gather on it, just in principle alone, I'm against it.
Do you mind explaining why?
Well, I mean, we've been hearing for several years about going to a cashless society. And we've seen that, especially in the past few years, we've seen that be sped up big time by governments around the world where, cutting back on denominations, paper currencies, everything now is credit cards, ATM cards. We rarely use cash. I mean, I personally try to do as much as I can with cash.
Same here.
But it's something, even people that believe in religion, it's taught in many different religious beliefs that eventually the mark of the beast, the Antichrist, cashless society. So it's just something that's been out there for, I guess you could say, decades, centuries, whatever, that eventually this day would come. And a lot of people have always been against that. At least, me growing up, the people that I surrounded myself with have always been against a cashless society. So people don't want to give that up. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. I mean, that's the way I think and I feel about anything. So what happens is the governments are, let's just say, just a blank name, the elite, the bankers, whatever, the puppet masters. They know that, people are going to resist. They know that people have been resisting. But as we know, in the past several years, things have been speeding up at an alarming rate. So they want to implement this cashless society. How better way to do it than to trick people into believing and thinking, hey, by me going into something like a cryptocurrency, I am actually giving the finger to the man, you know, I'm giving the boot to the government because they don't have their hands in the pot. So people think that by, hey, me getting into cryptocurrencies and promoting it and pushing it and telling people that it's going to be, you know, the future. And that's how, you know, we're going to, you know, stick it to governments and bankers, not realizing, in my opinion, people aren't realizing that this is exactly what they want. You know, ultimately, they want people to go into cryptocurrencies. They want the cashless society because in the meantime, you see the elite, you see governments buying up precious metals, you know, platinum, gold, silver. And, you know, they're telling people, you know, that stuff is useless, it's outdated, it's ancient. Cryptocurrency is the way to go. So to me, cryptocurrency is playing exactly into what the elite want to further their control over people. And it just angers me, it saddens me to see how people are falling for this. Now, yeah, in the short run, you know, like you yourself said, you had $300, it's grown, you know, you've been able to use it. Something like that. It's like, hey, if you have the means to be able to take advantage of it for now, then yeah, a lot of people can benefit. But again, I see it as we are playing into what the elite want without even realizing. And it's like, you know, again, I use this analogy a lot, but it's like being a parent. You know, a lot of times you want your children to do something and they don't want to do it.
Right.
So what do? You switch it around. You make them think that they're getting the upper hand on you, and they don't realize that you actually got them to do what you want, and they're sitting back happy, like, yeah, I got one passed on dad, and you know, yeah, I got it. You're sitting there going, yeah, if you only knew, you know, I got one over you. And that's what I see with cryptocurrencies. I see that, you know, by people thinking, hey, this is the future, this is great. And again, the biggest thing that I hear from a lot of people is you're sticking it to the government, you're sticking it to the bankers. You know, I think we're actually playing into what they want because, again, ultimately, they're going to take everything away from us. We're not going to have anything. I mean, if we live in a society where everything is, you know, crypto, you know, if you say something against the government, somebody overhears you saying something bad against the government or whatever, you know, they can shut your accounts
Well,
down.
that's how it is now.
They could turn
all your money is crypto.
Right.
Every bit of your money right now.
If you have money in the bank, if you keep your money in the bank, but at least, for example, I only keep the minimum that I need to pay monthly bills in the bank.
Right.
That's it. All cash is on hand, you know, metals, whatever is on hand.
Yeah, but
so if they want to shut my account down, that's fine. They can shut it down.
Right.
But I still have my stored wealth that they don't have access to.
And something that they can deem no longer, they can just print out. That makes it a dollar bill, a US dollar right now is worth 4 cents.
Right.
So what's going to prevent them from just saying, well, we don't want you to use cash anymore. So now we're just going to keep printing and printing. The feds are going to just throw $1,000 million and, you know, billions and billions in cash, swamp everything with it, make it useless. Now what? Now they've still got control. If it's in a
right, well, that day is going to come.
Right, and I'm not
that.
arguing with you that aspect. I'm not arguing with you that crypto, you should only have crypto. In fact, a lot of us will use our crypto to gain USD, and then we take our USD and cash the hell out with that really quick.
Right. Eventually, they're going to do away with that.
Pay off your land.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But eventually, they're going to do away with that, and they're going to do away with the cash. They're going to do away with all that, and it's all going to be, you know, whatever cryptocurrency they decide to globalize or do or whatever. But
Yeah, but
again, we know that's what's going to happen. We know that's where it's leading. So why are we helping them? You know, it's like we're not being pushed to our demise. We're literally
we're digging
walking
the hole.
ourselves, making it easy to go to our demise. I mean, that's just my opinion. And like I said, to me, to stuff like gold and silver that actually have use, that have actual worth, that can be used, that can be stored, that can be touched.
Well,
I mean, I'm
that's
sorry, you can't do nothing with a
tangible.
cryptocurrency.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I take my cryptocurrency, exchange it for USD. I take that USD and exchange it for valuables, lead, primers, pay off my truck, buy fuel, buy a generator, buy solar panels, food,
No, and that's why I
water.
used you as an example. That's why I
You know
used you
what
as
I
an
mean?
example. Like you said, you paid off your medicine, your car, and that's great. To me, that's why I say on the short term, if people have
Gold.
the means to jump on it, then heck, take advantage, man. You know, buy it while you can, have it go up, cash in on it, whatever, and buy stuff that you need. But you see, that's the way we think, and we are a small percentage of the population.
Right.
But the majority of the population is just buying into this, you know, 100%. Like, no, this is the future, and you know, gold and silver are bad, and no, this is here to stay. And they don't
No, I
realize
use
they're
crypto to
putting the
buy gold and
noose
silver.
around their neck. You know, they're
Right.
putting the noose around their neck.
But honestly though too, what you have to understand is the central banking system. It uses, for the lack of a better word, well, it is a ledger, okay? And it uses the same thing. I mean, your money is zeros and ones. It's all transferred by zeros and ones. It's been that way for decades, you know? My
Right.
thing is and you're right. Just like, okay, just like Bitcoin. Let's use Bitcoin as an example. Let's say that the Bitcoin becomes, the U.S. government's coin or whatever becomes the world currency, right? Well, then let's use Monero as the hidden currency. The Monero, there's no tracing it. I can send Monero from me to you, instantaneous, and nobody in God's creation knows it was how it got there because it goes through about 5 million different people before it gets to your hands.
But doesn't it
But
still
how easy?
leave an electronic trail, though? That's another concern with these
No,
currencies.
because it goes to a node, it gets fed out from that node to another node to another node. It's just like a nuclear explosion. It keeps exploding out, out, and out, and then one catcher's mitt basically sits there and grabs it out of the air. It has the password to grab it, and that's how that whole system works. It's not
Yeah, this is the
dedicated.
biggest. Like,
Surveillance that we have today. I'm sorry, CP.
I was just gonna kind of wrap this up a little bit. Maybe
I'm
we can move
sorry.
on because it's definitely. I think you're talking about the same thing, just for its use because it does have its benefits. Like you're saying, it's not the solution. A lot of people present it to be. A lot of people present it to be this. Oh, we're going to stick it to the man. This is how we, you know, or get around the central bank. When that's probably not true. I'm never proved, but I think the CIA took over Mt. Gox and Bitcoin back a couple years ago and it crashed and it got frozen for like a week or whatever. That's my opinion.
Mhm.
You can never prove it, but I think those things are easily manipulatable and confiscatable by. But if you can make a couple $1,000s, you know, by getting into it now, it's speculative. You use it as the
Right.
same as you would Wall Street is what I would say. Don't treat it as this ultimate solution of store of wealth or anything like that. It is a temporary use that it's worth, but don't think it's the savior of civilization or modern economies or in you they call themselves the co-capitalists. That's not going to be the great society. This is not it. I don't think because it's old.
No, and I don't disagree, but I do disagree with the
We
same
got some
thing.
other people join us out in the chat room. Looks like
Wow, is HDP lagging really bad?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Am I coming through clear?
What were
Yes,
you
sir.
going to say?
Yeah, I think it's HTTP.
I can't tell. Something.
It's like he's really bad shut now. But I mean, Angel, real
Uh,
quick. I don't want to. I don't want to say I don't fully. I agree with you to, but at the same time, you know what I mean. I'm using it as a short term gain, but also at the same time, if we can get in now and understand how it works, we have a better chance of, because like you said, eventually it's going to go there anyways. So why not at least have as much control now so that we understand it better in the future? It's psyop, right?
yeah, no, I understand. That's why, like I said in the beginning, I used your example as an example, and I said, like what
Right.
you did, as far as cashing in, using it for your truck, your meds. To me, I'm
Yeah.
like, heck yeah, man. You
I mean, I've
you saw
literally
an
bought solar
opportunity.
panels and
Well, yeah. See, but
gold and silver. I mean, I've had to
that's the
sell
thing to
that
do.
stuff, but lead and primers and more powder and food for my chickens and you know,
And I agree 100% with that. But my thing is in the long run,
right.
me personally, I think society in general, people in general, should resist these cryptocurrencies and shouldn't buy into them. They shouldn't go into it because, like I said, what we're doing is we're literally paving the way for our own demise. I mean,
I think
we
HTTP
should
block.
we should keep it to something that's tangible, something physical, and I mean, God, precious metals have been currency for how many thousands of years? I mean,
Well, no, yeah, and I agree. I think HTTP fully locked up, so I don't know what to do. By the way, I don't know.
No, I
he,
think I'm here.
he
Can you hear me?
yeah, he came back.
Oh, go ahead, HTTP. Sorry about that.
I guess I kicked myself or whatever, but no, uh, yeah, I think if we all see the writing on the wall, we know you're not going to be able to escape the current system. Are we leading to our own demise? Sorry, Tony's out there commenting. Uh, but it is. Angel brings up a good point, like demise, by even doing it in a speculative manner, an investment manner, similar to what we did with Wall Street.
I was supposed to say, what
Wall
about Wall
Street's
Street? I
leading to
mean,
our own. It's the same thing. Like we're leading our own people leading to their own destruction by throwing their money into Wall Street, which is just further enticing the crashes to put more in, even when you should be totally out of the speculatory nature of investments. But with inflation, you have no other way to back or keep up with inflation other than go to Wall Street. They've made it to where you can't really get into anything else to keep up and to maintain a that I guess standard of living, one way to say it, or what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
yeah,
again, that
And this
all
is going to be
comes
the same thing.
down. Do you wanna play in their matrix? Because that's
but
basically
you're
what it
gonna
comes
have
down
to. I
to.
mean, let's be honest. What's the end game of most people that are using cryptocurrencies to gain their currency and cash their cash, their society's cash at that point in time. So eventually, it's all going to end back up in the feds or whoever it is at that point in time, right? I mean, we have to play within the confines of the game.
You see, that's the thing, though. In my opinion, I don't think we have to do anything. I think, if anything, we choose to allow ourselves to be slaves because
So,
that's what we
but
think. Well, we have no other choice, but we do have a choice. People are either just afraid or ignorant of the fact that they do have a choice.
But I mean, if
I'm
you're
not.
going to use U.S. currency, okay, let's just say USD, you're going to use that. So you have to choose. You're making that choice to use that, right?
Mm,
Well, why? You're agreeing to allow them control, right? Why? Why do that then? Why not? In that case, why not just take that U.S. currency and say I don't want to do that because we have to a point to live. We can't live on a fully, you know, um, bartered system right now. We can't do that. Not in today's world. We got to pay taxes. You know. But why? I just don't understand why play under the Fed's rules when you can play under your own rules, have more control, less inflation, no inflation, in fact, and you know what I mean? It's like, and not only that, this I guess is the biggest thing. My point is eventually it's going to go there. We all agree that eventually it's going to go there anyways. Why not have the most knowledge so that when it does get there, you fully understand how to take advantage of it at that point in time? It's just like when we go out and do, missions and we learn and figure out everything we can ahead of time. We do that for a reason so that we know when it's time for things to go, we know what's going on ahead of time, right? Why not have that knowledge now? It makes no sense to be the ostrich, stick your head in the sand, and say, "Oh, it's not going to ever happen," and I don't care as long as I don't see it. It doesn't affect me. That's my point.
To me, I think it's more to think that you're in control, or by using these alternate currencies. To me, that's just an illusion, because like HTP said, as far as his opinion that the CIA infiltrated and stuff. Like I said, to me, these cryptocurrencies have been infiltrated. I wouldn't be surprised if they were set up by the puppet masters to spoon feed the people into getting ready for what's coming down the line. So to me, I don't see it as a form of control or, again, independence from the fiat currency or anything like that. I see it as just another level of the manipulation that the bankers have over us. And as far as we know it's coming down the line, so why not prepare for it? How about we know it's coming down the line and fight it tooth and nail and not be part of it? Now, again, some people, and most people probably listen to me say that and say, well, you're an idiot. You have no chance of fighting the system. But yeah, that's just me alone. But again, if more people thought that way and said, hey, we're not going to give into this. We're not going to give up physical gold. We're not going to give up, physical anything for something that's either paper or crypto or whatever. And that's it. That's final. What are governments going to do then? I mean, the government only has the power that the people allow them to have, plain and simple.
Right.
Okay, it's not something that they just naturally have like superpowers, or no, they only have as much power over us as we allow them to have. But again, it's just my mentality is to resist, and I don't want to be a stepping stone to their future agenda and plans. Like I said, I want to go down fighting,
and
it angers me.
And this is the last thing I'll say of it, because I think HTP's getting mad. But literally, if I had the choice, I would do away with all currency and only have barter and trade as my currency. Just like when I was a kid. You know what? I got paid by doing jobs, and I would go and do those jobs. If I didn't like the job, I would do someone else's job. They would do my job for me, and rather than me get, whatever. We still do it today. My neighbor and I trade my eggs for goats. I just got 60 pounds of goat meat the other day. I've been trading eggs to him for the last year. He slaughtered some goats the other day. Hey, Bobby, you ready for your trade? He gave me goat meat. I would rather have that than any kind of currency, and then no one has any control. But at the same time, we've got to pay taxes, and we're going to have to, you know what I mean? And you're going to have
to pay taxes.
Well, that's true. No, but yeah, I agree there too. But at the same point, so if it were up to me, I would deal away with all currencies and just do, and like you said, I have a little bit of silver. I don't have a lot. Man, I live on $720 a month. I don't have a lot of income. I have to make every stinking penny count. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, sorry, HTP.
No, that was all.
HTP.
It's good to.
We hijacked it.
No, it's good to throw that out there. Yeah, definitely. I changed the title when I'm out of here. No, that's good, because you bring up some good points about the intricacies of the thing, but I just think it's very important, like Angel says, that people don't understand. That people do understand that this is not gonna free you from anybody. this doesn't resolve anything necessarily in the future. And I like Bob Bullett's last comment here. It says your time is a form of barter. Well, our time and our labor is our ultimate reserve of wealth. That is all our wealth is derived from our labor.
Right.
That's where it all begins. That's where it all starts. So, and people, our generation and the previous ones even have been so disassociated with our labor and and the representation of it being money. Trading our money for paper. Now we're trading our money for did this on a computer. Like, what's the real value? You
Right. Like I remember
can't
my
use this
granddad.
stuff. So they give you something that's worthless in the hope that somebody else will trade you
Right.
for something that's worth something. That's what we're doing.
Right.
So people need to remember that, I think. So yeah, definitely got off on a tangent, but hey, everybody's got to learn something sometime.
But
Why not on my chat?
This is a perfect example. I remember my granddad as a kid. Instead of him paying me money to do projects on the farm, he would allow me to have hunting rights on a piece of property, and no one else could use that piece of property. So I got the best hunting property because I traded my time for hunting privileges on a piece of property, and I was able to have better hunts and enjoy myself. And my brothers and sisters growing up, they're like, well, that sucks. You didn't get paid anything. And I'm thinking to myself, I got paid more than money. What does money mean to me when I got to sit there in the woods and have the time of my life and enjoy it? So to me, that's where I don't know what my point is, but I see what you're saying.
No, being able to understand that your labor is directly tied to something tangible is very important. But we are very disassociated from that in our society and culture. The thing, time is money, doesn't really mean what it used to, and the fact that they give you something that's basically worthless in the hopes that somebody else will give you something worth something in exchange for your labor is the real problem that we're in, and that's why
most people don't even. I'm sorry.
That's why this whole transition into a electronic currency is very worrying, because it's only going to get your labor more, and it allows the Federal Reserve and the central bankers to further devalue everything of any real value to their benefit, who do essentially nothing.
But I mean, a lot of people these days, they don't even receive a paycheck physically anymore. It's just automatically put in their bank account.
That's 90% of people. Yeah. Most people don't work for
so
cash.
They don't even see that. They don't even see that worth anymore. It's even less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
But I didn't mean to get off on a holy cow.
Oh yeah, you did. You said you wanted to come in and make a point, and you made your point.
I did, but well, I mean,
yeah.
What's up, Tony? Good to see you, brother.
Yeah, Tony's out in the chat. We got Tommy Stock with us out there. Thanks for joining us. Bikes and Bullets. I sent you a link, Bikes. I guess Tony's link, he's got bad links or something, bad issues. But we won't go much longer anyway. I want to wrap it up, and I got other stuff to do tonight before I hit the rack.
But, sorry, Bikes. I'll keep you in my prayers, brother.
Yeah, my condolences, Bikes.
What we got here? Oh, a friend passed away. Let's see.
My wife's going to be back out there in Walla Walla again in the next month. She'll be out there for Christmas and New Year's. Be by myself.
Washington?
Yeah. Not close to you, but I don't know why I was, I guess I get you mixed up with the other.
Oh yeah, High Desert Tactical.
Yeah, High Desert.
Yeah, Trevor.
Even though I've met him, Trevor, I've hung out with him several times.
Yeah, we're all like.
Yeah. But again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in forever.
I haven't either. I haven't even seen him upload anything in forever.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm pretty sure he still got married last year.
Yeah, he did.
And I think I texted him or something. Yeah, it's probably been back in the last winter. Probably been 8 months or so.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did you ever try the what is it called? Back to Eden method, or did you look into it at all?
as far as terraforming and transferring
Yeah.
we're working on getting more organic soil. I mean,
Well, that's how you build
when
your
you got
soil.
basically sand, yeah, when you get sand to start with, it's a process. But
Yeah.
I don't think, yeah, what you were talking about with that. I remember I looked at it and we were
Especially like wood chips
already working. Yeah,
and
we just don't have enough of that type of organic matter. We're just
yeah, I
using what we
didn't.
got with animal matter. We're using with what we got. So we're working on trying to get some more, better soils and stuff. But we're
Yeah,
not able to
yeah.
put the full effort into it like you could if you're just focusing on that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It makes sense. I mean, you got to spread yourself. I remember you made that video when we were talking about it, and the back to Eden method for us because you just left here. You know how many trees we have, trees and leaves. We just pile them on the ground and we shred everything, and man, it makes awesome soil. And you
right.
think about it, that's what trees do. They fall, the branches fall, the leaves fall, they rot, they make more soil, then it just keeps on and on and on, going and going, you know, and and it works really well. But I don't in your area, I don't even think you guys have much trees that you could even get like loads
Yeah,
of
I
bark and
mean,
stuff.
there's cottonwoods down by the river and pines in the mountains for the most part, but yeah, there's not a lot of vegetation.
Yeah,
That's why there's not a lot growing. But yeah, just use what we got and try to improve the soil what you can. We do a lot of composting. I've got a pretty big compost bin working. Just takes time.
yeah. I just remember seeing that. Like,
Before, not to interrupt, before I forget, HDP, you had asked me to post some links regarding the Saudi stuff. Unfortunately, like I said before, I don't have a computer. I have to do everything on a stupid smartphone. But I've been hearing something came out this week. Apparently, an Israeli news station investigated and leaked out a memo that came out from the Israeli government where they had sent this memo out to all their consulates around the world, telling them telling their consulates to basically whatever country they were stationed in to go to those countries' governments and start spreading the word that they wanted basically to turn everybody against Iran and against Hezbollah. And
hmm,
I guess they were trying to say something like not let Hezbollah have a word in government, that they're not an adequate or whatever, governmental agency or whatnot, some stuff like that. So basically, they got busted. The memo was leaked. How they're telling all their people in all these other countries to go to the governments, respective governments, and turn the governments against Hezbollah and in turn Iran, and also stoking the fire between Saudi Arabia and Yemen. I don't know if you're aware about that missile that was shot down by Saudi Arabia. I think it was 2 weeks ago now. That came out of, I think it was Yemen, by the
Yemen.
Houthis or something.
Yep.
Yeah, and Saudi Arabia said that the missile was given to them by Iran, and therefore they declared that as an act of war on Iran's behalf. So you've got Saudi Arabia using their military over there in Yemen and saying that Iran has basically declared war on them, and then you've got Israel behind the scenes helping them out and trying to get all these governments, all their allies, to turn against Iran. And in my opinion, they're just setting up the stage to attack. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think we're being preoccupied with this thing with North Korea, and which is a joke. Personally, I think it's a joke.
Yeah,
It's like, come on, for North Korea, they're not a threat. They're not a substantial threat to us. I don't think that Kim Jong Un is actually sitting there saying, "Yeah, we're going to go after the United." No, we're bullying them. We're antagonizing them, just like we did with Japan during World War II, till we got Pearl Harbor and got our way. But whatever, the news and everybody's focused on North Korea being a threat and whatnot. and they're not paying attention to, you know, how bad things are really getting in the Middle East. And like I said, this past week, it was official documents that were leaked showing that, yeah, Israel is working with Saudi Arabia and they're trying to undermine any peace or anything in the Middle East. I mean, they really want to go after Syria and Iran. I guess the Saudis want Iran and Israel wants Syria. And I think this is going to become a very volatile situation in the very near future.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, I don't have link. Like I said, I saw it. I think it was on Drug, and I read a couple articles on it, but I don't have a computer to go and like put, you know, paste links and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, that be interesting to see how they contrive an attack against Iran. That would be definitely an escalation of the situation.
I think that would be a wet dream for the United States.
I don't know how, but
well, not for the regime. I think that would be a wet dream. Remember, they were supposed to be one of the main countries in the axis of evil.
Oh yeah, it promotes the military state and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, it keeps us distracted from all our other problems.
And it grows the empire. Yeah, ultimately, that's all it is growing the empire and collecting all the resources around the world, which we don't benefit or reap any of the benefits.
Yeah, bikes, you didn't get bikes. Yeah, I sent you something on G+. I sent you a link. Should just be on their G+ wall.
Can I ask a real quick question that I've not really been able to find much information on? Maybe you guys can figure it out. Or you already know. What's the deal with, remember when Obama supposedly closed down the smelters or whatever, the lead smelters? In all of the United States?
Okay, yeah, we were down to like the last lead smelter.
Yeah, or I thought he even closed that one down or whatever. So how is it possible that, like, where's all this lead coming from now that we're using for batteries and bullets and all that stuff? Where's all that coming from if that's the case?
Still coming from China or wherever, I don't know, wherever lead
probably
comes
China.
from.
Okay.
Probably China.
I mean, I know, like, I mean, if we mine silver, like 90% of it comes out lead or something like that. So, like, I was just wondering, like, where's that stuff going? Are we just sending it to China, having them smelt it, and then bringing it over here and saying, oh, look how clean the air is? We're just dirtying their air, basically? Is that what we're doing?
No, I think personally we're doing it just to give them more money and give them more business and, you know, keep them happy. So
yeah,
this means all the lead has to be in the form it's going to be processed before it gets into the country.
Exactly. Well, don't we do the same thing with food? I think I had seen, what was it, a couple of years ago, I read some articles talking about, for example, like poultry.
Yeah.
Like poultry. We take all the poultry, we have the chickens here, we send them all to China to be processed. China processes them, whatever, and then turns around and ships them back to us.
Say,
I mean,
what?
Where's the sense in that?
I know for a fact that they were doing it with beef because Jack Link's Jerky, or one of those companies, I shouldn't have said a name, but one of those companies got busted because the meat that was coming back was contaminated from something. And they're like, how could that be? It was U.S. meat. And they're like, well, it's getting, made over there. So,
yeah, the same thing. Same thing happened with the chicken. Remember when this whole thing with the bird flu started getting really bad a couple of years ago and coming out in the open, people were concerned. Well, we don't want to get, chicken and stuff like that, poultry from freaking China. And a lot of businesses, I think Walmart was the biggest importer of it, was saying, well, no, these are American chickens. They're, grown and all this crap here in the United States. But what they weren't telling people is that live chickens are being sent overseas, killed, being processed, and then, being shipped back to the United States, which they could still be contaminated. So
right. I didn't know that about the chickens. I know for a fact.
Yeah. They do it with chicken. They do it with beef. And to me, again, I'm like, why what the hell's the sense of that? I mean, if anything, I mean, you're taking away American jobs, number one, and number two, wouldn't it cost less to just grow them, kill them, process them here, and sell them to our own people?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Just
that would
makes
be
me feel even
cheaper.
more better about taking care of my own food needs as much as possible.
Yeah.
Right. No doubt. What's up, Bikes?
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, Bikes?
Long time no. What you guys doing?
It's been a few weeks, right?
Yeah, I'm
been a
just waiting
minute.
for the wife. Yeah, it's been a long time. I just waiting for the wife to finish cooking dinner, man. I was listening in. What the fuck does any of this have to do with Thanksgiving?
It doesn't. Bobby got us off the track. We'll blame him.
I'm sorry. I take full blame. Take full blame and responsibility.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Always keeping that.
Well,
You know how
I
it
had
goes around here,
mentioned it
Bikes.
to HTP, and then he made a video about it, and I was like, I guess he didn't get the point of what I was asking him about, and that's why.
Yeah, that was like 2 months
Oh,
ago.
man, I've never met you. Hey, I'm Mark.
It's good to meet you, Mark.
My pleasure. Angel, good to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a long.
Wait.
Same here, brother. Same
Mike's-
here, brother.
No, Mike,
Mike,
you and
how
I
have you not
before.
met Yankee 4?
Yeah,
Had to have.
I've known HTP
It may have been a while back.
for 10 years. Since
Back in the Dragon.
2010. Yeah.
You had to meet him back in the Dragon or whatever.
I still
about
need
10
that
years.
hat. No, yeah, it's 2010. I said 10 years. I still need that hat though, HTP, man. That's Mountain
Yeah,
Dew's
not
my
happening.
favorite thing in the world.
It's a collector's item now. This has got Junior Nation.
I know.
on it.
That's even more better good.
Him and them operator hats, man. He's got a few of them. He's got the Mountain Dew one going on today.
So, to wrap it up here, Bikes, before we cut it off, because I said I wasn't going to go over 2 hours. What do you? The Vegas shooting thing has fallen off the radar completely.
Yeah.
And from what I am seeing or hearing or confirm or deny, to protect those that are guilty and the innocent, the FBI is fully in charge of everything down there, and Metro is not in control of anything.
Metro federalized. You have
What?
to understand, they federalized years ago. When they became incorporated, guys do know what that means, right? When a sheriff department becomes incorporated, they have police now. They're not deputy sheriffs. They're known as police. They're under a sheriff, right? So they're incorporated. What that means is they have a treasurer, a CEO. I mean, you do know what that means, right?
They're a business.
They're a business. They're a DBA, doing business as, right?
Yeah, doing business as, yeah.
So that's what happened. So of course they're in charge. You got police officers running around with 2 different titles, wearing 2 different hats. Actually 3. They work for a sheriff, number 1. Number 2, they're LVMPD employees. And number 3, they become federalized. In other words, they carry different titles other than police under DHS. And you know what DHS is? That's the whole alphabet gang all rolled into one. That's who DHS is. So if you understand these things and you get a grasp of how these things work, it becomes a little more clear in your mind on how those things work. So of course the FBI is taking over. Of course, they were actually here a couple of days prior. So think about that. Not a conspiracy. It's not a theory. You know what those 2 words mean when you put them together. That conjunction term there. So just saying. That clears things up for you.
Yeah, I don't know if it clears up for everybody, but yeah, so that would explain the seamless transition without pretty much letting anybody know that, or putting any information out in the press or anything, that the FBI is pretty much doing everything that the sheriff should do.
I'm not going to mention any names. There's a guy I know really well. I've known him for about 6 years.
Not me, obviously.
Not you. I met this kid. I'll give you his first name. His name is Dan. That's his first name. I'm not going to give you any full names or anything like that. He was the president of the Rough Riders chapter up in Utah. He used to trailer his bike down for me to work on it periodically. He's been employed for about a year, Metro down here, after he got out of college, and they hired him. So I spoke with him. He was working that night, and that's his area. So a lot of things, man. There's a lot of things that never made the media. That's why I put out that video I did about surveillance.
I heard about some copters and stuff that were
Of
going.
course.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Misinformation, disinformation, get you off the focus on what happened on the several calls. You know, they locked down the whole strip and downtown, right? You guys do know this.
I didn't realize that. No.
Yeah, that's actually what happened. Of course, it didn't make the media, and they didn't scrutinize it. There was many different calls for service at many different areas of the strip for active shooter activity. That's how you want to put it. Not just hearsay. There was actual calls for service. So. The Vegas shooting. For years and years, man, people get tired of hearing about the words false flags, things like that. Many people, they confuse that with what a hoax is. Hoaxes are done in jest. There's nothing funny about this. A lot of people go, oh, nobody died. Well,
That's a bunch of bullshit.
I'll let you in a little secret. My wife, 27 years, she owns a flower shop. She's actually kind of prominent here in the Vegas Valley because she's been in business that long. We do a lot of flowers for weddings and a lot of funerals for bread and butter. Believe me when I tell you that there were people injured, there were people that died, there were people that actually were shot. So all these things you hear out there, this information, disinformation, is to keep you focused on everything but one thing. The first thing police look at when they arrive on scene is, of course, in an active environment, they're trying to find the actual perpetrator or perpetrators. The second thing they're going to look at is they're going to send a team into surveillance. I want you to understand something. 4 major casinos filmed everything. Wasn't just the Mandalay Bay. Those
That's
areas.
what.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm lagging. I'm sorry. I was gonna say that's what I didn't understand. What? Where the hell's all the video at?
No, it's not a matter of where the video's at. I'm gonna imprint something in your mind here for a second, Bobby. What's the name of the director of security of Luxor? You know his name?
Clue. No clue.
How about Excalibur? You know
No
his
clue.
name? How about Tropicana?
No
You know
clue.
his name?
I don't know anything about the area. I've never been there in my life.
4 major casinos film everything in real time at the same time on the ground and inside those establishments. This is the reality that's not scrutinized. People can say surveillance, but they're not scrutinizing it. Anyways, happy Thanksgiving week. Anyways, it's coming up Thursday. If you're alive, you're upright, you got food in your belly, your kids are healthy, and you got clothes on your back, be thankful.
Amen.
Be thankful. The way things are going, we got lots of time.
Band-Aids, eh?
Lots of time, but money's running out. And that scam is just going to keep going and going and going. Any thoughts?
Right on. No, the whole suppression of information out of the Vegas incident has been drastic, but yet nobody's talking about it.
Right.
You're right over the target on that.
I do want to say real fast. Oh,
There
sorry.
have been the people. The idea that it didn't happen is ridiculous because there are tons and tons of people up here that were directly down there at the event. So we're getting firsthand word up here even of that what happened. So it's not like you're gonna get that many people together and just they're gonna disappear into the other world. But the why and the how is definitely probably never going to be known the way things are going.
No, it definitely happened. I know a lady that directly was impacted by it and lost her son. I knew her son. You know, he's my brother's best friend. It definitely happened. There's no question about that. The why and the how.
Well, As far as the media blackout, yeah, I agree. There's no more coverage on mainstream or anything on it. But I do know of a channel here on YouTube. He's still doing some hardcore investigations on it. Name of the channel is End Times News Report. Yeah, that's the one. End Times News Report. And he's the only one so far that I know of that is still doing a lot of work and a lot of research into what's going on with that and the different theories that are out there and just exploring different things. So if anybody's interested, like I said, End Time News Report, he's still doing putting out a lot of stuff on it, trying to keep it relevant.
Good info. Thanks, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Any reporter worth their salt, you would know the director of security of Mandalay Bay. You would know director of security of Luxor. You would know the names of the surveillance men that filmed everything at all 4 of those casinos. Not to mention Hooters, MGM, the incident that happened in New York, the incident that happened outside Bellagio, downtown. These are real. I mean, these are real scenarios that actually did happen. Nobody heard a thing about. So, I don't know. Believe what you want out there, you know. I mean, YouTube land or whatever. I'm waiting to have a sit down with a couple of buddies of mine, and especially my buddy when he comes over because he was working that night. He was on scene. So.
Well, I've never even been to the place, so I don't know anything about it physically being there. But
I don't know, I feel kind of bad because I'm to the point where honestly, whenever I hear a mass shooting like the one in the church, Vegas, New York, people being run over, I don't know, I become numb to it. I mean, I either think one of two things, either false flag, and then I feel sorry for anybody who died in it, or, you know, a hoax, a flat out hoax. And I don't believe shit anymore. I mean, like I said, and it sucks to be that way, but to me, it's just everything has a freaking agenda tied behind it. I mean, if it makes mainstream media, it's got to be government propaganda, because it just seems like the real stuff is always blacked out. So to me, if it makes mainstream and some shooting, running over, explosion, plot foiled, whatever, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Well,
Another government psyop, whatever. Who gives a shit, you know?
I think the thing to remember is a lot of that stuff is most things are real. I think because it's hard to get more than 2 people together and have a conspiracy go well because you can't cover up the lie. But they manipulate the message after the fact. After the way the message is manipulated after that is what to watch for. How they get people to think in one way, whether it's to try to get them to support gun control or to support this politician or to vote this guy, or it's always a manipulation. That's the real what you got to watch out for, because it's not, you know, granted, you want to look out for yourself, but we all got friends that you don't want them to be manipulated as well. You know, how do you talk to them in the reality of like, hey, are you really going to buy this? You know, are you really going to fall for this propaganda?
God, this lag is driving me nuts. I'm so sorry.
They're called narratives for a reason. Think about the words that are used. I mean, define the words that are used in some of these narratives. And when you actually, you know, you define these words, actually what they really mean, not what common folks tend to think about what some words mean. It's right in front of you, you know, narrative. Narrative is this. Narrative is that. Narrative. That's key. So,
yeah, but if you look at most of the stuff that's going on, it's just a lot of the stuff is just ridiculous. I mean, like I said, you know, not all of it. You know, people that say everything is a hoax. I mean, I'm sorry. You know, whatever, they have an opinion. I disagree.
Yes, a hoax is something funny or a trick.
Well, to me, a hoax is something where they use crisis actors. Nobody was hurt. It was all set up. That's a hoax. False flag is, yes, there was either a shooter or whatever. People were hurt. People died, but it was not organic. It was not really some psychopath out there. It was just something that was contrived by the regime. That's just my opinion. And a lot of people confuse hoaxes with false flag. Nowadays, you tell people, oh, that's a false flag. Oh, you're an idiot. People did die. Well, yeah, that's what a false flag is. But it's just people don't know. And it just surprises me how ignorant society has become in general. I mean, the ignorance is just abound.
That goes back to the power structure has demonized the term conspiracy theorist, conspiracy theory, hoax, false flag. I mean, there was a time and place where everybody knew that the Germans did a false flag to invade Poland. Everybody knew that. But now to call something a false flag is ridiculous. Like, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's all been demonized.
Think tanks spend a lot of fucking time creating these, I call them labels, really, because they're terms that aren't defined. They're defined by them meaning the MSM, within a narrative by any FBI, CIA, anybody that gets in front of a fucking microphone or a, pardon my French, or a podium with a microphone and a camera in front of them. Those narratives are full of think tank created narratives. They use these labels for a reason, for people to go around and use them. The word hoax, this is a hoax, that's a hoax. It's all over the place. And it's become common terminology for people to use. But yet, if you define the word hoax, it doesn't mean any of those things. So, just a little food for thought. Hope that imprints on you a little bit.
Yeah, but then again, remember, we live in a society now where someone with a penis is a woman and someone with a vagina is a man, because that's what they think. So yeah. If you can literally, and this just blows my effing mind, it angers me. If you can literally change your gender, even though it's science, okay, you can literally change your gender. Why not change the meaning of words or anything else? I mean, that's just the screwed up society we live in.
Well, it's just like, go ahead, HTP.
No, go, Bobby, and we'll start wrapping up. Go ahead.
Hey, side chat, brother, quick. But that's just like in Texas when the shooting happened. As soon as the gentleman, and I cannot remember the guy's name, that engaged the shithead, as soon as he engaged him and stopped him and used an AR, as soon as the narrative got out that it was an AR that was used against him, everyone was like, oh, no, they can't say AR. They were saying semi-automatic rifle. And I mean, as soon as they found out that a good guy with an AR stopped a bad guy with an AR, it was, oh, we can't say AR. It was a semi-automatic rifle. It was, all this other crap. And it's like, what the hell? Why can't? And then they quit covering it too, by the way. Did you notice? It like totally just fell off the face of the earth.
Yep.
Yep. It's totally just gone. There's no hero. There's two gentlemen that stopped that motherfucker from killing a lot of people, excuse my language. And now they don't even get the respect, which they don't even care for, but they don't get the recognition they should be getting because these jackasses decided, oh, they don't like the narrative because a good guy with a gun stopped a bad guy with a gun. I'm sorry.
Well, did you guys hear about the shooting in Walmart? I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago or something, where the guy just walked in, started shooting random people and killed 3. Any of you guys hear about that?
Did not even hear about it.
Where's that at?
Oh, geez, I knew you were going to ask me that. I forgot what state it was in. I think it was somewhere in the Midwest. But yeah, the guy just went in, white male, and walked into the Walmart.
Of course, started white male.
Started, of course, just white male walked in, started shooting whatever, and killed 3 people. And then he ran out of the store. Next day, the police were able to track him down. They went to his house with SWAT and everything. The guy wasn't there. And then, they had all the TV stations there filming. It's so funny because, while they're just filming B-roll of the SWAT packing up, you see a red car go by, and you hear one of the cops yell, "Hey, that's him!" And they all jump into cars and chase him. After a short pursuit, they caught him in traffic. He was arrested. But the point I was getting at is this was mostly covered only in local news. That's the first thing I noticed. And when it first happened, the news was reporting saying that police were having a difficult time identifying the man because while they were looking at surveillance footage throughout the store, they found several armed individuals throughout the store. So apparently what happened was the guy goes in and starts shooting. Who knows how many? They didn't give a number, but they said, a few to several people with guns. I guess they had a bunch of CCW people there who pulled out their guns. And this guy probably saw maybe one or two or something or whatever, but for some reason he stopped his rampage and just turned around and ran out of the store. And the first reports were saying, well, police are looking at, reviewing the video, but they're having a hard time because there were so many people armed in the store, so they don't know if he had accomplices or not. But then after that story died also.
Yeah, the one that just happened in whatchamacallit died too, in California.
And, you don't hear anything about that. And I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, man, that's hilarious, because you would think that rather than pushing it and saying, hey, I think it's actually hilarious. Guy goes in there, he's, killing 3 people. He's probably thinking I'm going to kill a bunch more, whatever. And he comes up against armed citizens that are like, yeah, this ain't going to happen today, buddy, and chase them out of the store. And then when that truth was revealed, suddenly the media stopped covering the story. Oh, the guy was arrested. Story's done. It's closed. That's it.
Yeah.
So
that reminded me of oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so once again, that's another example of firearms doing what they're supposed to do, of people exercising their right and defending themselves, that, again, the media censors.
Yeah, they're just trying to control the narrative. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That reminds me, it's a similar story, but the one that just happened, I guess, earlier in the week, where they've had this murder spree in Baltimore. And basically, the town of Baltimore got locked down and searched by the FBI over the last couple days or something. Basically, FBI SWAT was going door to door. So, again, going back to what Bikes is talking about, the federalization of locals.
Wait, was that the one about the cop killer?
No, he was killing.
Was that the one about the guy?
Random murders
become the norm. I mean, think about
it. I gotta look that up. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, Baltimore. Baltimore killings or Baltimore murders, you'll find it. But basically, the FBI shouldn't have SWAT on scene until they're needed. When it comes to the way resources are supposed to be shared from a local perspective in requesting additional support, like where was the Maryland State Police and where was, local help?
Right.
Before, why would you need the FBI to go door? And it showed video of FBI going to people's door, and it's like, it's disturbing when you had the Watertown mass thing with that whole thing getting locked down in the Boston bomber, and now this is just like another beta test. Like,
yep,
to accept this crap, like whatever happened to being self-sufficient and being able to deal with things yourselves as either a local jurisdiction, a local police force, until it's needed. Like, going door to door when you're looking for a mass killer. I mean, Son of Sam, they didn't do that. They didn't have SWAT going around. All these other, mass whoever else. But yet it's indoctrinating the local populace to not be proactive, like you're talking about these shooters in Walmart. Not take action. It's getting people in the mindset of there will be somebody there that will come around. That's their job. That's their response. No, as Americans, it's our responsibility, and that's the horrible thing about what's going on is people are being reduced to not being responsible and effective in their own defense. They give it to somebody else's responsibility, and it's killing us.
Amen.
I think it's also programming the law enforcement. I think that it's programming the sheep, but it's also programming
law enforcement thinking that they have this dominion. They're a second.
That's right.
City. They're the sheep. They're the Animal Farm. They're the Doberman Pinscher guard dogs.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Animal Farm.
What? the acronym Special Weapons and Tactics. Think about that. Think about
And you know,
that.
Fuzzy had a good point out in the chat
There
too.
is-
Most
they're
of them
usually-
don't even use that.
SWAT was always the last resort.
Yes.
They were always the last resort. Now they're the norm. They use them for fucking everything now. And I mean, warrants.
Yeah, for
Any domestics, all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff.
I saw
Correct.
one. They came in. They used the SWAT team just down the on its gangbanger place down there. But they ran down there to go get somebody for not paying the ticket for a parking ticket, literally for a parking ticket. And the only reason I know that is I know the one of the guys that's on the team, and he's like, they fucking called us out for a parking ticket. It's like,
Well,
come on,
wasn't-
this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Wasn't
You know,
SWAT
or-
established in the 70s?
If
Yeah,
if
and-
anything goes into
Right.
a warrant, they'll use them. Yeah.
Because if you look
Yeah,
at the
but not-
70s when they started and you look at them today in actual statistics, I think right now, as of today, SWAT teams and SRT teams are basically being used. Over 60% of their duties are just for warrants and search and
Yep.
seizures in houses that should be done or have been done for decades by regular law enforcement.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
you guys know what JTFs are, right? HD, I already
Joint
know
task
you. Joint task force, right? Well, they've gotten rid of JTFs. Now they're all integrated. That's what
Right.
federalizing is all about, to where they're automatically a JTF. They don't have to call out for a JTF. They're automatically. That's what Jade Helm was all about, gents. I mean, think about it. This
Well-
shit didn't happen. It's about combining all of these forces, federal, local, state, all together in conjunction with each other instead of having to go out and form a JTF. Now it's automatic integration. So
Well, I
there
mean,
are-
with the fire department, even the I'm sorry, brother. God, I am lagging like crazy. I told you where I'm at in the side chat.
I got you.
Anyways, in the fire department, in the volunteer fire department, I saw in the past 10 years where we used to have just mutual aid from, our local other communities. So, if Station 2 or District 2, we go by district. So District 2 and District 4 would have mutual aid. And then if we couldn't handle it, they would assist each other. And it would go on from there, spiderwebbed out, right? Well, now everything is assisted immediately by the state, and rather than where it used to be, our volunteer fire departments would handle it individually, and then we would work together as a team. If we couldn't handle it, then we would call on bigger and bigger forces, and it would move outward exponentially. But now it's immediately, if it's over a certain incident, it's immediately gone from a little minor thing to call fucking a 10 alarm fire.
It
you know,
becomes
where-
automatic.
Right, and it's on. That was the whole point. It is 100% automatic. It brings in literally the state patrol, the highway state patrol, the smoke. I mean, it just goes on and on. I mean, even Homeland Security gets involved instantly. Homeland Security is involved if it's
Yeah.
over a certain amount of woods that are on fire.
Bad
It's
news.
fucking. I mean, sorry.
Gotta pay those bills somehow, right?
Yeah.
Well, hey, gents.
Yeah, we gotta go.
I'm going to wrap it up. It's been really good. I have a timeline. I'm sure you guys on the East Coast more so than me, but it's been good. Thanks for joining us. We kind of didn't talk much about Thanksgiving, but Mike said some good words, and we said some few things beforehand. But I hope everybody does have a good week and a good Thanksgiving every day, not just one day a year.
Man.
Just remember to be thankful every day. But anybody want to do some shout outs? We'll start off with Angel. If you want to do some shout outs before we wrap it up, we'll go down the line.
Just want to say happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy holidays, and stay safe. Watch your six, and don't forget about the Constitution and the Republic, no matter what.
All right, Bikes, you're up.
Yeah, again, let me reiterate, happy Thanksgiving. Be thankful. Like I said, if you're upright, healthy, clothes on your back, food in your belly. Kids are good. Your bills are paid. Be thankful. The way things are, not sure how much things are going to last as far as this smokescreen of debt and a debt-based currency is going to last. But we'll see. Shout outs to everybody out there. BuzzFork, he said something that out there in the chat, said something about the actual biggest mass church shooting was actually Waco, Texas. I agree, brother. True. That's a true story.
No, I didn't see that one.
These church shootings here recently in the last couple of years, no, they ain't the firsts, and they're not going to be the lasts. So thanks. And HD, thanks for sending me a link, man. I haven't been on a chat in a minute. So, and, thanks for letting me check in, man.
Right on.
Semper Fidelis, by the way, happy birthday.
Oh, yeah. I hope you enjoyed one, too. I forgot about that. All right, Bobby.
Oh, I just want to say thanks, HDPE. I appreciate it, man. And again, I appreciate you guys. Keep doing what you got to do. Have a great Thanksgiving, and God bless.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, everybody that joined us on the panel here for coming. Really appreciate everybody in that side chat giving us some topics and keeping us on or off topic as it went down. But that was good to have everybody join us. Thanks, everybody that's watching us afterwards. Checking us out. But
HD, I just wanted to say again, thank you for having me on. This is actually the first time I've been able to join one of your chats after years of listening to you. So first time on here, man. Thanks a million. I appreciate it.
I thought we were on
No, I was on one with one of G's.
Oh, maybe I was on there.
You were commenting something on the Constitution in the comments. I was telling you to jump in, but you couldn't. So this is the first time I've actually been able to talk to you live, man. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, good to go. But yeah, everybody, thanks for joining. Remember to be thankful this week, but also remember the reality of what is impending or is out there. Do not let the narrative blind you necessarily. Always be aware and gather information and look for the true story, not just what you're told. Remember, we do have political prisoners in this country. There are cowboys that have been in prison over 600 days for a victimless crime, and they're going to trial this week. So if you're going to follow the Bundys this week, Miss B Stacy on YouTube and Valley Forge Network are two channels to check out to follow that trial as it goes forward. And I'm sure they would appreciate any thoughts and prayers that you may have if you cannot make it to Vegas in the courtroom yourself.
Can I say one more?
You'll be good out there. Oh, of course. There's always one more.
Fuck,
yes.
Right. Shit. Fuck me, right? Tony put out a video a few days ago. Tactical Tony 702. Not familiar with him? Check him out. He put out a word the other day on that, specifically the Bundy trial and the prosecution of those gentlemen. Listen, watch his video. Listen to what he's saying. Put it in plain English. Put it in plain thought in your mind on what it was he was actually saying. The ridiculousness that's gone on. This is not doom and gloom, but gentlemen, the Republic is falling. So, yeah, words of wisdom from Tony from his video the other day. Check it out. Anyways, that's what I wanted to reiterate. Thanks, HTV.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, everybody. Have a good night and have a good week. Good Thanksgiving. Live free.